There we go.
Sounds great.
Alrighty then. I am speaking with Brian Jennings, the CEO of I'm speaking with Brian Jennings, CEO of the American Coalition for Ethanol, and we're going to talk about the ACE annual meeting coming up in August, just right around the corner. Brian, tell us some of the things that you have in store this year for your annual meeting. Are you there? Can you hear me? Why can't I hear you? Where'd you go? Where did you go, Brian? Where did you go? Where did you go? I hit record and you disappeared? Where'd you go? Are you there? Ah, let me hit
Hey,
record.
Cindy, I wonder if oh, now my signal's good. For a minute, I wondered if it was you looked like you were on mute, but then my signal said it wasn't very strong, so I was about to switch over to a different signal.
Okay.
Why don't I do that real quick?
Okay.
Just avoid any. So I might lose you
Okay.
again, but that
But you'll come back, right?
I promise. Okay, it connected me, and I'm still with you. Yeah.
Okay. Well, let me put myself on mute and see if you're still with me. Speak again. Now go.
Hi, Cindy. How are you?
Oh, yeah, you are there. Okay.
Good.
All
Good.
right, we're in business now. All right.
Great.
Let's start again. I'm speaking with
Yep.
Brian Jennings, the CEO of the American Coalition for Ethanol, and we're going to be talking about the annual meeting for ACE coming up in August in Minneapolis, right, Brian? What is going up? What do you have planned for this year's meeting?
That's right. We are hosting our annual conference in Minneapolis on the 20th and 21st, so right around the corner. And we are really thrilled that we have a great lineup of speakers and topics of interest to the ethanol industry and those who support the industry. I think to lead off with things, Cindy, we have three significant keynote speakers that will be joining us, led by Congresswoman Michelle Fischbach of Minnesota. Congresswoman Fischbach was one of the pivotal players in the House of Representatives in shepherding the E15 bill through the House in a bipartisan fashion. Her leadership, particularly on the House Rules Committee, was really essential to paving the way to get a vote on that bill. As we continue to, have challenges moving that in the Senate, we want to hear from her and thank her for the work that she did on the House side to get that vote and to move that legislation. We're going to hear from one of the world's leading oil market analysts, Tom Closa. He used to work for the Oil Price Information Service, and now he is an analyst for Gulf oil, Gulf Petroleum. Tom has been to our conference before, and for those who have attended the conference and heard from Tom, they know that he mixes in a strong dose of humor and wit with a lot of wisdom and experience that he brings to the table. And his sort of forecasting on oil and gasoline markets and the related energy markets, including ethanol, often are very, very accurate. And so we're thrilled to have Tom back and hear from him. And it's particularly important, Cindy, of course, as we continue to face market uncertainty from the war with Iran, bottlenecks sort of on again, off again in the Strait of Hormuz. I think Tom's insight, Tom's analysis on the implications for the marketplace, it will be extremely valuable to our attendees. And then as we've struggled to meaningfully increase ethanol demand here domestically in the United States, the export market has really taken off for us the last couple of years. We've set records in terms of the volume of ethanol that we're shipping around the world to dozens and dozens of countries. The value that that's returning to the ethanol industry in terms of economic return is very significant. And so the CEO of the U.S. Grains Council and Bioproducts Council, Ryan LeGrand, is going to be speaking to our group as well about overcoming challenges and also taking advantage of opportunities when it comes to exporting.
Well, tell us about your theme for the conference this year.
Yeah, so we sort of piggybacking on the fact that it is America's 250th birthday, we chose the Fueling Freedom theme, and I think that's really apt because of course, ethanol provides that to to consumers who are choosing it at the pump, whether they choose E10 or E15 or E85 or even a mid-level blend. It enables those consumers to have the freedom to choose what they want at the price point they want. And ethanol also provides the retailers with choices as well in terms of um, modifying or sort of multiplying the different products that they can offer to their customers, and then expanding their own revenue base as a result of that. And so we picked the Fueling Freedom theme to sort of play off the America's birthday and what ethanol offers to people.
Well, and as far as the agenda is concerned, after you mentioned your speakers that you have there, but you have a lot of great breakout sessions and panels that are going to be happening. Tell me about some of the topics that you're going to be covering there.
Yeah, we have dozens of speakers on a wide variety of issues. We have three tracks of breakouts. We have a 45Z track, which is new this year. It's the first time we've ever had a track specific to a federal tax credit, but there's so much interest in the 45Z credit. Cindy, ethanol plants are, making good on applying for that credit, obtaining that credit right now, but there's still more we need to learn from Treasury about how that credit will work. And so we have a whole breakout track dedicated to really diving into and understanding the ins and outs of the 45Z tax credit from a wide range of experts. We also have a leadership and management track, and that's been very popular over the years. Many of our attendees are board directors for ethanol companies, and they find that leadership and management track to bring a lot of useful information to them that they can use in their own boardrooms as they return home. And then we continue with a technology track. This industry is never standing still. The ethanol producers are never satisfied with the same old, same old. They are constantly innovating, constantly looking at adding new technologies to become more efficient, to diversify their revenue base and the products that they produce at their facilities. And so we have a technology track to help folks sort of navigate those issues. And so that's always been a very popular piece of our conference. And then, during our general session, beyond those three key keynote speakers that I highlighted earlier, we do have a couple of other panels that I think are particularly interesting. One is a 45Z panel. So not only are we going to have breakout sessions on the afternoon of August 20th that are dedicated in a track to 45Z and understanding the ins and outs, but then during our general session to conclude our conference, in fact, on Friday, the 21st of August, we will have a panel of experts, including USDA's Catherine Zook, to explore 45Z. And Catherine from USDA will go into the great detail on the USDA feedstock carbon intensity calculator, which is used to sort of value farm level practices and how those practices then plug into 45Z. So we're thrilled to have Catherine and other experts for a general session panel on 45Z. And then Cindy, we're not satisfied with just accomplishing E15 when we do, because I'm confident we will at some point in time. But we're really looking to unlock new markets in totally different markets as well. And so we've got an Unlocking New Markets panel that will consist of a representative of the largest shipping company in the world, Maersk, and some of the incredible work they're doing on using ethanol in their ships and the upside, the market potential that the maritime industry presents for ethanol producers. We're in the backyard of Delta Airlines, and so someone from Delta Airlines will be speaking on this new markets panel talking about sustainable aviation fuel and some of the challenges and opportunities associated with ethanol breaking into that aviation fuel market. And then a representative from John Deere will be there as well. So three really well-known global companies, and John Deere will talk about this E98 tractor, this 8 series, 8R series tractor that they have as a demonstration project in using 98% ethanol in that engine. And so really talking about some future opportunities, not just the near-term topics like 45Z and E15 as well.
Well, it sounds like a great lineup. And getting back to E15, by that point in August, I think that the Senate is supposed to be out of session. So do you think we're going to have E15 from the Senate by then?
You're correct. Unfortunately, the Senate is going to take a recess during August. I wish they would just keep working because they need the days to get this done. I need to be honest with you and those who are listening to this. The Senate's in for about another week, maybe a week and a half before the August recess, and I just don't see a path to getting this done. I do know that Senator Thune and his staff are working very hard with Senator Fisher of Nebraska, who's been the lead sponsor on this on the Republican side, Senator Klobuchar of Minnesota, the lead sponsor on the Democratic side, and Duckworth and others, on language changes that might accommodate securing the 60 votes necessary to move E15 in some way, shape, or form. And I think progress is being made, but I just unfortunately don't see that happening before our conference. I would love to be wrong, but it doesn't look like that will happen. That in part has been complicated by the fact of the untimely passing, of course, of South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham, and then former Majority Leader of the Senate, Mitch McConnell, has been hospitalized for some time. And so getting the requisite votes to move something has been a significant challenge in the Senate right now. And so E15 is in part a victim of that, but we're also just well aware that we're going to see some language changes from what the House adopted in order to secure the votes. And, we're sort of working with our champions to navigate that right now.
Yeah, it seems like last week there was a lot of corn growers and ethanol producers on the Hill talking to their champions there in the Senate, and there did seem like there was a lot of talk going on, but what do you see as the pathways to get E15 done before the end of the year, hopefully?
Well, what I'm encouraged by is that the majority leader has essentially told us he is looking at any and all pathways. Back in January when we had some of these conversations with senators, it was often, Cindy, they would tell us, well, we can't do E15 on this bill, and we're not going to do E15 on that bill. I think now that the House passed a standalone, which surprised a lot of folks in the Senate, a standalone E15 provision, I think it's really caused senators it's lit a fire under senators in terms of being, I think, more open-minded about how to accomplish E15. My view is it's easier to attach E15 to some other must-pass bill in the Senate than it is to schedule floor time on a standalone vote. But what we hear from Senate Majority Leader Thune and others is that nothing's off the table. So standalone is an option they're looking at. Attaching it to a must-pass bill is something they're looking at. What might a must-pass bill be? It might be this supplemental appropriations request from the White House to sort of fortify the Defense Department in terms of the war with Iran. It could be the farm trade aid that's working its way through Congress. Those two things might be combined into one very large spending package. So E15 could be part of that. There's the National Defense Authorization Act that's considered a must-pass bill that could be potential for E15. So there are a variety of bills out there that are considered must pass that we could hitch a ride on. And we're sort of trusting the majority leader from South Dakota to help navigate those pathways for us.
It's interesting that all three of those bills that you mentioned, E15 ethanol itself fits very well into that overall broad thing, the funding for the war. I mean, E15 would help lower gas prices. With the farm aid, the farmers, nothing would help farmers more than having more ethanol in use and the defense authorization. It is a matter of national security. So all of those it would fit under, right?
That's really great analysis by you. That's right. E15 is a perfect fit from the energy security standpoint, from the reducing price at the pump standpoint, and when it comes to providing aid to farmers who are, a lot of them still struggling from a challenging economy, they'd rather have a market than a payment from the government. And E15 would open up a wide new market for corn farmers specifically. And so you are correct in your analysis, and that's the case that we have been making. And of course, to those senators who may not represent an ethanol or a corn state, we're quick to remind them of the very meaningful and real savings that E15 continues to provide anyone who fills at the pump, no matter where they are from, all around the country. And so I think at the end of the day, the most compelling reason that the Senate has to move on E15 legislation is the fact that at a time of very uncertain and volatile and often high pump prices, E15 is always going to cost less at the pump than straight gasoline and E10, and so that's going to be continue to be a very compelling argument for us.
And I've also been hearing a lot of the Iowa Renewable Fuels Association has made a point a couple of weeks ago about how low the wholesale prices are for E85. I mean, as low as like 10 cents a gallon, and that those prices aren't being reflected at the pump, but at the same time, E85 is really a bargain right now.
Excellent point. And, we often are so laser focused on E15 legislation, we don't point out that just overall, ethanol is priced significantly lower than gasoline. And when you factor in the opportunity to take advantage of the Renewable Identification Number credit, the RIN credit, that goes along with a gallon of ethanol and the value of that RIN credit today, then yes, we are looking at some historically low wholesale prices for E85. You're not seeing maybe those historically low retail prices for E85 as some of the retailers are taking advantage of that. And we've had some conversations with them. And you see it in certain markets, E85 is priced very competitively at the retail market. In others, we need to do a little more work with those retailers. But the bottom line is whether it's 15% ethanol, 30% ethanol, or 85% ethanol, there is a significant price savings for consumers today.
And anybody who's still going on summer vacations need to look for that ethanol discount. The other thing I wanted to ask about when you were talking about 45Z um, being a part of your conference, what is the status of the 45Z tax credit at this point?
At this stage, we are really waiting on the Department of Treasury, who is ultimately in charge of and has jurisdiction over 45Z, to put the final piece or two of the puzzle together and finalize a rulemaking. They have indicated that they would do that by November of this year, which on one hand is good. On the other hand, a lot of us, and especially ethanol producers and other clean fuel producers, would like to see clarity much, much sooner than November. But not too long ago, the Department of Agriculture accomplished their work relative to 45Z in producing the feedstock calculator, which helps determine the value of reduced tillage or cover crop or reducing your nitrogen use more efficiently using your fertilizer when it comes to producing the feedstock. So the feedstock calculator is done. The guidelines from USDA on how to sort of verify that those practices have been done by the farmers, that's out there in the world, available to the public. The GREET model is for the most part done by the Department of Energy. The DOE does need to take the feedstock calculator from USDA and plug it into the GREET model for 45Z, but we don't foresee any issues there. So we're really waiting, Cindy, on the Department of Treasury to sort of tie all of these pieces together, complete that puzzle, and then put out a final rule. And so that's what we're waiting on.
How much has ACE's work in the Regional Conservation Partnership Program that you did work on? How much has that helped in developing some of the work that's going into 45Z and how farmers can use it?
Yeah, thanks for that question. Because of the history and the experience that we have working with farmers and ethanol producers on adopting conservation practices on the farm and then sort of measuring in a real world way the greenhouse gas benefits of those practices and then taking that data and pressure testing the models. The Department of Agriculture actually asked the American Coalition for Ethanol to beta test their feedstock calculator over a year ago. And so we did several runs of that feedstock calculator with the actual data that we've collected from farmers to help USDA, I think, better understand that they needed to make some modifications to that tool. In many ways, Cindy, the initial version of USDA's calculator was undervaluing certain practices, particularly reduced till. There's a lot of emphasis out there in the world about trying to get farmers to go straight to no-till, and really overlooking the significant benefits of just fewer tillage passes do make a big difference in terms of reducing greenhouse gases. So reduced tillage improvements, improvements in understanding nitrous oxide emissions from fertilizer use and how some tweaks needed to be made to their calculator. And we're pleased that because of that interaction that we had with USDA, that the final product they put out, oh, it was a month ago, a little over a month ago, in terms of their feedstock calculator, was a significant improvement from the version one. And so we continue to, sort of lend our experience as we can to USDA, to the Department of Energy, to Treasury as they do come up with these final pieces to the puzzle for 45Z.
Alrighty then. Well, getting back to the conference, you'll start up August 19th actually with your welcome reception that evening and through the 21st. And registration is going on right now, right?
Registration is going on right now. There may still be early bird rates available, but I would encourage people to go to ethanol.org as soon as possible. And I'm hearing that the room block reservation is starting to fill up. So strongly encourage people to go to ethanol.org and get registered and secure their hotel room.
All right, very good. Anything else you want to add, Brian?
No,
All right, great. Well, we'll be looking forward to it and looking forward to what's fueling freedom. Is that right?
that's correct.
Fueling freedom. Very good. All right. Thank you very much, Brian.
Always a pleasure, Cindy.
All right. Take care. Tell everybody I
Yeah,
said hi.
will do. Thanks.
Okay, bye.
Bye.